Okay, well, welcome. I'm Marcy Little, and I'm the host of the Healing Sexual Trauma Summit, Transform Unresolved Suffering Through Compassionate Embodiment. And I have here today Victoria Cartwright from MBS Healing. Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
So happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we get started, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think I understand you do, the healing work that you offer. I'm going to talk to the viewers for a second and just lead us in a little bit of a grounding exercise that I want to invite the viewers to do at any point during this interview or follow-up interviews. If you're coming here as a survivor of sexual trauma, you need to really take care of yourself and really be listening if you can. So if it feels good and you want to close your eyes, that's a nice way for us to start too. Victoria, do you go by Victoria or do people have a nickname for you?
Nope, it's Victoria.
Good, got the whole name going.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so if you'd like, you can close your eyes and we'll just begin by sort of feeling where we're at. And if you're sitting, you can feel your body in contact with what you're sitting on. And if your feet are on the floor, you can feel your feet in contact with the floor or the earth, or if you're lying down, your back. And then just begin to tune into what your breath is doing without trying to change it in any way. You may feel pulled to take a deeper breath like I just did, which is a nice way of settling into the body. And a couple more breaths just to settle in. Ground yourself in the here and the now. I'm so glad you're here. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. And Victoria and I are right here. All right, so Victoria, on your webpage, it says that you are a survivor, a mom, a yoga student, a trauma-informed yoga therapist and coach, a nature lover, and a modern hippie and free spirit.
Yeah.
Does that pretty much sum it up?
It pretty much sums it up, yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like the viewers to know about you that's not included in that list?
I'm very, very passionate about yoga, and I'm very, very passionate about spreading awareness about healing from sexual trauma. So that might be some more of the work that I do in the future. I'm not really sure, but for now, I'm just working with just survivors. But I really envision a trauma-informed world where we can live and be respectful and mindful of, people's traumas. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got a chill through my body when you said that. Can you imagine the world that we would be living in if pretty much everybody was, kind of realizing that they're carrying trauma in their bodies and took responsibility for that? I mean, it would just be like such a different place to be.
Yes, it really would.
It really would.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I'll probably ask everybody who I interview, which is, what made you want to be part of the summit?
I don't think I've ever heard of a summit like this before. And as soon as you had started communicating with me, and I thought, this is fantastic, because this is exactly what, this is my thing. This is what, I want to help people with, and meet them on their journey and say, hey, you don't have to be stuck in this horrible pain from sexual trauma. You don't have to be. There is a better way to live. It's possible. And I have different tools in my toolkit. And if they're helpful for you, great. And if they're not helpful for you, maybe I know something else that can be helpful for you.
Mhm.
So it's a great platform to, really share that information with survivors and let them know that they're not alone. It's not their fault, and we can heal together in community. So, yeah.
That sounds just like my website for the summit. You pretty much hit every tagline.
Really?
So I'm so glad that we're connecting and that you're here.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you find your way to yoga?
Oh, so I had done some DVDs at home before, and then I really wanted to try going to a yoga studio. And so I was a little shy going to a yoga studio. This was back in, I'd say 2013, 2014, maybe. I live in a curvy body. So the perception for yoga in the West is thin, flexible, mostly female bodies. So I had my daughters go with me for moral support. And when I went to this yoga studio, it was a hot yoga. And I talked to the teacher ahead of time and I said, I have a bigger body. I was just wondering if you could help me out. And, if you see me struggling, maybe offer some alternative or options or, whatever. And it was a pretty bad experience. It would have kept me away from yoga forever. But she said, if you can't if you can't get into these postures, I'm not going to slow down my class. You can either leave or you can just stay in child's pose. I was like, oh. So I
You
decided to
were
stay.
feeling pretty welcome just then, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh. Welcome just as you are.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I stayed and I got through the whole class. Um, there were some challenging bits and pieces to it, but my daughters and we laughed our way through it. And um, after that experience, my youngest daughter actually, she said, "Mom, I really want to spend some time with you one on one. And I like yoga too. And let's try out some different studios." So we started studio hopping to find a home, a yoga home. And we came across a studio that offered trauma informed yoga.
Mm.
And they didn't have any drop in classes. They just had either, like a 6-week course or you could have private sessions. So I booked a private session for me and my daughter. And when we both left that private session, my daughter looked at me and she goes, "I don't know what that was, but I have to have more of that." And I said, "Me too. I have to find more out about this trauma informed yoga. I don't know what this is." So I did some more investigating and I talked to the owner and she said, "I really recommend if you're interested to sign up for the 6-week program. It's called Grace." Um, I think she's trademarked that program now. And I took that 6-week program and there was no turning back at
Mm.
that point. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful practice. Not only yoga itself is very healing without it even being trauma informed, but having it trauma informed was even better because they it's client led. Um, you whatever they offer to you, if you don't feel safe, if it's not comfortable for you, you don't have to do it. And they offer lots of options, so that was good for me in my bigger body. Bring the floor up to you. There's lots of props and using empowering language, invitational language. So
Can you give us an example?
Um, yeah. So let's see. Empowering language or invitational language would be if it feels right to you, raise both of your arms up to the sky.
Mhm.
And then while you're there, you can either do this or you have an option to do that.
Mhm.
So that way, you're really urging the survivor to say, hey, you do get to make decisions about your body. You have agency over your body, and we're going to empower you and give you these choices so you get to decide.
Yes. It's like, it's the invitation is just to fully own your body
Yeah.
and to fully be in it and to fully listen to it and respect it and honor it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. So you came to this class, or you signed up for a private, you brought your daughter because it was something you guys wanted to share together.
Yep.
And you brought your full-sized figure. And as opposed to that first experience where you were greeted with conform to the norm or out you go, you were met with a deep welcome. And I noticed when you talked about it, you touched your heart.
Yes.
Yeah. And is that where it touched you?
Oh, for sure. Yes, for sure. Because
Mhm.
even the being in the 6 week program, there's other survivors there. And I think that's another piece that's so important is to be in a space with other survivors sharing a similar experience that is so nourishing and empowering together. It's that relational healing component of, healing from sexual trauma. So that was the other piece of it.
Yeah, you really build a community there
Yeah.
of people who kind of been where you've been.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
wonderful. All right. So you work with people one-on-one also in coaching and teaching trauma-informed yoga?
Yes. So they have an option. They have an option. They can either do trauma recovery coaching or they can do um, yoga therapy one-on-one, or we can do a hybrid. And I really like the hybrid a lot better because the one leads right into the other kind of seamlessly. So starting off with yoga therapy for like 45 minutes. So it'd be like a 90-minute session, 45 minutes doing yoga therapy, and then going right into coaching right after that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So just for our viewers, and I'm gonna look at the viewers just for a second and just say, invite you to check in with your own self right now as we listen to Victoria. You may want to touch your own heart or just feel your own feet or just notice your own breath for a second. It's good to just take a break and do that every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, just coming back to the present. And so I'm coming back to you, Victoria. So let's say I find you and I reach out to you and I'm like, okay, I'm coming in. I'm ready for something. I want to feel better. I want to feel better in my body. I
Mm-hmm.
want to stop feeling X, fill in the blank. When people come to you, what are they feeling?
Um, some people have a profound sense of sadness. Some people are very angry, have a lot of anger. Some people are just stressed out and they can't sleep and they can't stop ruminating the details over and over in their head. A lot of people are experiencing shame. Um, Sometimes, it shows up physically too. Like, I can't sleep. I just can't, I can't sleep. I need something to help me sleep. So it could be a variety of different reasons why. And some people just are like, well, I heard this was really good for me, and my therapist recommended it. So
Mhm.
I'm here to give it a try. I've had that before too. So.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I think that it seems as though we're beginning to wake up to the fact that if we want to heal trauma, we have to do it in the body.
Yeah.
It cannot simply be, I'm going to talk this out. like talking can only take us so far. And then we've just got to go where it's still alive in us, keeping us kind of trapped, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's been true for me. So I come in and how does it go? Like what happens when I come in and I meet with you?
So we would chat first. We would, do the typical intake forms, that type of thing. I would look them over. We would chat, and I would ask the client, "What are you looking to get out of this session?" Um, and be very transparent that I'm not a miracle worker, and you're going to have to participate in your own healing. It is work. They call it, healing work is work for a reason. So we chat about that, and we set realistic goals and expectations for both of us. And I let them know, depending on what it is that they're looking for, this is what I'm able to do, and this is what I'm not able to do. Sometimes I really stress the importance of, this should be really done in conjunction with a therapist or a support person, whoever that is for you, because some stuff is outside of my scope too. So I really want to keep it within that parameter of whether it's coaching or yoga therapy. And then we go from there. And depending on what kind of responses I'm getting, we would probably start with a short practice. Um, and trauma informed yoga therapy is kind of interesting because when I was learning how to offer this, we got to a point where it was learning how to do hands-on work, like body work with people. And it freaked me out at first. As a survivor, I was like, no, I don't
Yeah,
want.
can we slow down right now? Because this is super important.
Yeah.
And I noticed you touched your heart again, and so your body is really registering that this is impactful. And I think this is a big and impactful thing for the people who are probably listening to you and me talk right now. So yeah, so let's see if we can just go into that a little bit. So there you are, you're in your training,
Mm-hmm.
you're in the module. I'm gonna call it a module because I know we use that language in trainings, right? You're in the module where you're starting to work on hands-on.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is trauma-informed therapy.
Yes.
Okay. So ostensibly the people who are training you know,
Yeah.
right, that hands-on is going to potentially be a trigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like it was for you. So what happened?
Yeah. I explained to the teacher, I said, I don't know if I can actually touch other people's bodies. And she said, of course you're going to ask for consent, and you're going to want to work with a person for a while before you offer that kind of touch. And it's basically, maybe holding somebody's elbow and their wrist and maybe doing a rotation, and then going through the sensations that they're feeling in their arm. But after she showed me what it entailed, and I practiced with my classmates, it wasn't so bad. And as long as I told my teacher, I said, no, as long as I'm able to say, next I'm going to touch your elbow. Are you okay with that? I have to make sure that this person is in full control. There's full transparency, and they know what's coming next, and they get to decide whether or not I'm allowed to do that. So then I was okay with it, and then vice versa too, with students working on me. Was I ready to receive that kind of touch too? So that
Right.
was that was pretty interesting to learn that about yourself.
Yeah, and how was it for you when the fellow students worked with you as the student?
Yeah, that was so it was interesting because with some people, it was no problem at all. And then actually, my teacher wanted to demonstrate something on me for another student. And she said, "Is it okay if I touch your shoulders?" And I said, "Sure." I gave her consent. I was fine with it. And as soon as she pushed back on my shoulders, I kind of tensed,
Hmm.
and she took her hands right off. She noticed and she said, "Okay, you said okay, but your body's saying no. So we're gonna stop." So it was interesting.
It just gives
But
me chills again.
yeah,
It
yeah.
also makes me feel emotional because it really takes that level of attunedness, I think,
Mhm.
to work with somebody who has sexual trauma in their body.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so glad that your teacher noticed your your reaction, which was a no. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, no, there's something about that that's not quite right for me right now. Hands off. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's how it would go in a session with me. If I were to notice it, even if a client would give me consent, say, "Sure, you can touch my wrist or you can touch my hand." And if they were to respond in a similar manner, I would back off. Just
Right.
say,
And I'm guessing though, I mean, I work with people one-on-one too also. And you know, there are times when the client, like just in your perfect example of like, yeah, my mind's okay with this, my body flinches, but that the body may not be feeling okay with it, and it may not even show signs. Does that
yeah.
happen? And the person may not be aware, and then the therapist may also not be aware. Does that ever happen? And yet, and then later it's like, oh gosh, that that didn't actually work and we didn't notice it.
Um, I haven't had anybody say so yet.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
where they
mhm,
come back later and say, "It didn't feel quite right, like after the fact."
mhm,
Um, I haven't had that experience yet. It's
uh-huh,
usually right in the moment.
uh-huh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking of one of my clients, for example, and he has this way of self-soothing by touching his hand.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I join him with that. And then I suggest a different kind of touch. And if he does it, he's only, it often, he lets me know, not right away, I have to check in. I'm like, well, how was that for you? And it turns out that he did it, but he was numb. He
Mm.
couldn't feel it, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So does that come up sometimes when you're working with people?
Yeah, sometimes there's a good example. Sometimes I've worked with somebody who I was moving her arm, and she was laying back on a bolster. And I was just kind of moving her arm, and um, we were talking about being supported, about it, and um, the support with the arm.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What does it mean to you to feel supported?" She goes, "Well, I can't really feel my arm, but I know that you're supporting me."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "So it's not actually a physical support, it's more," and then she finished my sentence and she goes, "It's more emotional. I can rely on you. You're supporting me."
Mm-hmm.
So, but she said she couldn't really feel the arm movement. It
Uh-huh.
was just very slow and gentle. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So I'm just going to invite us to just check in and again in another moment here. Just notice where our breath is. Yeah. I often encourage my students and the people I'm working with to make a sound when they exhale because, you know, there's a lot that lives in this space in the body right here, right? In the heart space. And sometimes just a little sound
Yeah.
Goes a long way. So how do you know when it's working?
Um, it's when my clients get those aha moments, and it's like a lot of clarity starts to begin for them, and they start to piece things together all on their own.
Mm.
And it's just they lead everything, and then that clarity starts to come through for them, and they start verbalizing all of it, and it starts to come out, and just asking the right questions, and seeing where they're at. That's when I know it's working. And then of course their feedback, you know when they say, oh, I never would have thought that, or I never would have felt that. I'm so I had one client, she goes, I came here to this session and I totally was focused on something else completely. And our session went in a completely different direction. And she goes, I have more clarity around this other thing in my life now than I ever thought I would have. Versus, she goes, I don't even, the other thing doesn't even matter now. So, yeah.
Like she got to something even more essential and deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The way you talk about it, it's sort of like the fragments begin to piece themselves together again into a mosaic that kind of can stand together and maybe more close to a state of wholeness.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Is that what happened for you?
Yes, it was a very slow and gradual process for me. When I say very well, I guess that means different things to different people, but it was all those little pieces, those little aha moments, the tears on the mat, the connecting with a yoga therapist, and also working with a therapist. Um, it was all those little pieces. They just added up over time, and I learned all these tools. But yeah, that's the way it was for me.
So would you like to guide us in one of the tools that works really well for you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great.
Yeah. All right. I'm assuming that everybody's sitting, and I would invite you to close your eyes, or maybe gaze softly towards the floor. And then just focus all of your awareness on your breath. And as you bring your awareness to your breath, just notice if it's cool, or maybe it's warm. Notice where the breath is coming from. And notice where it leaves your body first. It might be your chest. It might be your belly. And as you keep your awareness on your breath, notice breathing in, and name it breathing in. I am breathing in. And as you breathe out, you can name it, breathing out. And as you slowly bring your attention awareness back to the space around you, notice any sounds. Slowly open your eyes if they were closed, or gaze up. And then just look around your space and take everything in. And welcome back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Before we end today, I'm wondering, what wisdom do you feel is vitally important for us, all of us, to take away from our shared time together here today? It's a big question.
It is a big question. But I'm going to tap into my intuition and let whatever arises come up. And the very first thing that came into my awareness when you said that was connection. I think this is a conversation that is very awkward sometimes for a lot of people. It can be quite uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I think it's important for survivors to connect and use their voices and get the message out there that, yeah, we can heal from sexual trauma, but it shouldn't be happening in the first place. So, and I also know that there's a lot of survivors out there that they're not ready to use their voice yet for something like that, and that's totally okay. So, but the connection piece, I think, because I hear so much from survivors that I just wish I had a friend. I'm so lonely. I'm so sad. And I can't, like, of course you have, you can talk to a therapist. You can talk to your doctor. But I think it's really important for us to find each other in these spaces, to talk to each other. So connection.
I'm glad you followed your intuition, Victoria. And as I listen to you once again, I get lots of signals in my body, and I got that feeling again of just everything just resonated with a big yes. Victoria, thank you so much for sharing so openly and so honestly, and for being the person that you are, and the healer, the wounded healer who turns and offers what she has, what she has learned and what you embody to all the people who come to you.
Oh,
So
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for being part of our summit.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay.